So how do you feed sheep in the winter a grass-fed diet when there's an ice storm, when there's like 2 or 3 inches of ice on the ground? Because when I got up this morning and went out to my vehicle, there is so much ice. There's at least 2 or 3 inches of ice, and that's a gravel parking lot I'm walking on, and it's just covered with ice. And all the grass is covered with ice too, so they're not getting any nutrition if they're grass-fed off tall fescue or uncut hay or standard hay. It's all covered with ice. They'd be absolutely freezing today. And even the side-by-side, it's not going to go anywhere today. It's got too much ice on the driveway. I've got a pretty steep hill that I got to go up and down. And there's no way I can drive this machine or any machine. We're stuck. We're stuck inside. So what do the sheep eat when all the grass that's on the ground is covered in ice? There's nothing for them to eat except the round hay bales that I put out there for them to eat. They're always available. They're out there. They go out there and they get whatever they need. Even with square bales, if I can't get to the barn, I can't give them a square bale. But that round bale, it can sit out there the whole winter. And when we have really bad weather like this, the sheep always have something to eat. Now, you're not even going to be able to get to the barn and feed grain. So this is even better than grain. You've got good fiber for them to eat. And I want to ask anybody that depends on a winter stockpile that's just grass, like tall fescue or whatever you're doing, tell me the answer, what you do when it's covered in 2 inches of ice, like what we have today. What do you do? What do you do then? I also want to show you that my lambs are born in the winter, and they do just fine. There's no problem with the weather for the lambs. I lose a lot more lambs in the spring and summer that are born late to coccidia and worms than I ever do to the cold weather. So it's not a problem with cold weather. And so I got a system that works. I feed them grass, the lambs and all. Also, this grass comes from a farm or a hayfield I have leased, and there's no sheep on that field. There haven't been sheep, any kind of animals in that field for years. So there's no worm cyst in this hay. The hay is 100% organic. It's never been sprayed. I have complete control over the hay fields. And so they're getting organic grass without any kind of worm exposure at all in the winter because the worms can't hatch out. In the winter, there's no coccidia in the winter, and they're doing just fine. And I don't have to worry about feeding them either. Now, if I was feeding grain, I'd have to go down there and pour a bunch of grain out for them. But this does it for me. I don't have to do anything. I just have a small geodesic dome shelter made out of PVC pipe with a tarp over it, a 20 mil tarp. And that lets them get out of the weather if they want to go inside and lamb or whatever their problem is. They can get out of the weather. But mostly they're outside. But the point of this video is to ask anyone that's depending on standing hay that's uncut to go all the way through the winter to feed their animals and not bale it. What do you do when there's an ice storm? What do you do when there's like 2 feet of snow? What do you do when there's really bad weather? You can see I've got some hay bales up here close to the house where I hope to have my garden, and they'll come up here and eat that later. But the ice is so thick today, they took the dogs out for a walk. You can see the dog tracks. And they slid down the hills. It was almost impossible to walk on the ice. Even the 4-legged dogs had a hard time. And so we're iced in. And my question is, anybody that depends on winter stockpile, what are you doing today? What's going on? And we can't even walk up and down the hill in the grass, where the grass is or where the snow is, because it's covered in ice too. And you'll slip right down the hill. And that's what happened to some of the dogs. They started sliding down this hill that's covered in a sheet of ice. And really, I put some hay bales next to the barn. I don't have a good video of that yet, but the sheep just come right out of the barn and they eat the hay bales. The other thing about my winter stockpile, being in round bales, I can pick it up and move it. So I can move it closer to the barn and do what I got to do. Well, I appreciate your input on what you're doing today. Today is January 25th, 2026. There's a huge ice storm. What do you do with the winter stockpile of standing hay in conditions like this? Thanks.